Greetings and welcome to Jefficho Films. I just watched the Game of Thrones finale and I didn't get a sword fight. But you know what does have a sword fight? This 1982 movie directed by Albert Pyun, who I just covered did Cyborg, which is also a cool movie. So let's review The Sword and the Sorcerer. This movie starts out with Lord Cromwell arriving to Tomb Island on a rowboat with his men. He brings his own witch. You should always bring your own witch. And they go down into the tombs and find a stone casket with a bunch of faces carved in stone on it. The witch does her voodoo, and the faces come alive in a horrifying way. The demon rises from a bubbly grave and reaches out. Cromwell tells him that he's lost 4 times trying to take King Richard's kingdom, Edon, which is pronounced differently by everybody in this movie. The sorcerer Xusia demonstrates his power by ripping out the witch's heart from across the room, and Cromwell sets his terms.
As thou canst see, my art is powerful.
I will allow you to live as long as you serve me. Betray me, and I will joyfully send you back to rotten hell.
We travel to the kingdom of Edon, where Cromwell gets a bit cocky after defeating half of Richard's forces, and he tries to kill Xusia by stabbing him, but he jumps off a cliff. Inside the kingdom of Edon, one of the king's sons is gravely injured, and he shouts for him to bring a leech, cause that's gonna save him.
Titus! My son! Bring a leech! Move! Father! No, don't talk. No. Wait for the leech.
The young prince shows up and Richard tells his wife to escape with their surviving son Talon and his sister, and then he gives his son the tri-bladed sword. The battle is lost and Talon's on the battlefield looking for his father, and he sees off in the distance his father get killed by Cromwell. One of the soldiers tells him to go to protect the queen. Cromwell offered to spare the queen's daughter, but she stabs him, so he kills them both. Talon arrives too late, but we do get to see the tri-bladed sword in action. He also gets an arrow to the hand. That's unfortunate. Talon vanishes, and many years pass, and rumors of a fearless adventurer are heard. We see a monk visit a still-living Xusia, and he tells him that arrangements have been made to crush Prince Mikah's rebellion and deliver his sister Alana to Cromwell for marriage. But by the rise of the 7th moon, Xusia has a plan. Talon shows up at a tavern, and we learn that Mikah's father was King Richard's advisor, so a lot of people consider him and his sister the closest thing to heirs to the throne. Mikah meets up with his inside man Machelli, because Machelli's part of Cromwell's war council, and him and his sister look over the map of the castle and its secret passages, till Cromwell shows up, delivering some great lines.
What have we here? A nest of cobras?
Alana goes to escape while Mikah is being subdued by Cromwell, and she gets cornered by a bunch of perverts, and much like Black Widow, she has her own move of dealing with men.
I'm gonna mount you like you've never been.
What?
Talon shows up and rescues her, and then they go to an inn and have some food and drink, and she meets with one of her people. She wants to hire him to rescue her brother, until he negotiates a price of his liking.
You want me to snatch your brother from the king's dungeons for one night with you? Now, that's a slim bounty for such a task.
Why, you bastard!
He's a pig, but a charming one. She gets word that her men are pinned down by Cromwell's archers, and she asks for his help. But he requires a down payment first.
I'll rescue your rogues. First, I want a taste of your lips. Send me to my grave.
Seconds after Talon leaves, Cromwell's men take Alana, and he gets down and he sees the archers have the rebels pinned down inside of a cave, so he pours oil all by their feet and lights them up. The rebels stumble out of the cave and they meet Talon, and they take him to the outside of the mountain where there's this giant grate that should lead to the dungeons. Cromwell decides to visit Alana, and she plays along with him till she does her move.
And I will make love to you like no other can.
With what?
A blonde serving wench visits the dungeons where Mikah's being tortured, and she's actually Cromwell's consort. Cromwell's asking Mikah where Xusia of Dallas is.
My God, man, there is a demon in our midst. And he is the leader of your cause.
I am the only leader of this rebellion.
Even castle dungeons have swarms of rats, and they attack Talon and his friends. Some of them don't make it. Mikah's men are actually useless cowards, and they stay behind as Talon goes searching for them. They get captured anyways. Talon gets a guard's uniform, puts it on, and goes down to the dungeon where he finds Mikah's men all captured.
Cromwell's men were waiting for us at the sewer opening. We found them. They were armed with swords. They attacked Talon and his friends. Some of them don't make it. Mikah's men are actually useless cowards, and they stay behind as Talon goes searching for them. They get captured anyways. Talon gets a guard's uniform, puts it on, and goes down to the dungeon where he finds Mikah's men all captured. They intend to crucify us during tomorrow's feast.
I should vet them.
Cromwell is actually holding Mikah in his torture chamber. Cromwell tells Elizabeth to wait there as he goes to deal with the escaping prisoners, but she unties Mikah, and then Talon shows up to help too. Talon gives Mikah to his men before he battles through the castle and is chased. He breaks into a harem and ends up kissing a girl and has to fight more soldiers until he breaks into another room, where he sees Alana, who's getting an oily massage on her bottom. Like us, he's distracted and gets knocked out of a window. He gets up and continues to fight and run until he runs into Cromwell, who thinks he's Xusia, and he has no luck with swords.
I'm no sorcerer, but I'll gladly test your steel.
They fall into this watery rock location that looks really cool, and they have a dagger fight. Talon's about to win until Machelli shows up and interferes. Mikah's getting his wounds worked on as his cowardly men give him an update. Talon's men are at the whorehouse and they get the same update, so they collect more men, and Elizabeth shows up and says she can lead them to the castle. The next scene, they're already in the dungeons captured, and the king's torturer shows up with Elizabeth. He cut her tongue out, and he's asking him who sent them there. She decides to stab herself rather than give in. Machelli talks to the generals and they have a plan to have all the kings show up to Cromwell's wedding and then they're going to wipe them all out. That's a brilliant plan. And the kings do show up to the dinner and they all see that Talon's hanging there crucified at the end of the table. A lot of bad wigs in this, but two of the kings recognize Talon and he did a lot of good for them, so they're going to rescue him. Cromwell shows up and then Alana walks in, looking good. 3 girls from the king's harem show up in the dungeons and rescue the prisoners, and they grab the king's torturer and kill him in an inventive way. Talon starts struggling on the cross as the archers are taking aims at the king as the vows are being said. Finally, he rips his hand free and shouts, "Cromwell!" and the battle begins. The kings cut him free and Talon's men show up and toss him his tri-bladed sword. Richard tries to escape, but Talon stops him and shows how powerful his sword is.
Man, thou art the devil.
Machelli frees Alana and Cromwell sees that he's been betrayed, but then he takes her to a dark, creepy place and threatens her. She plays into it and does her move.
You obey this.
But it doesn't work, and he reveals to her that he's Xusia in disguise. Wasn't Xusia taller? Cromwell shows up and Xusia tortures him with his glowy fingers. And then Talon shows up and he gets tortured too, but he underestimates the tri-blade sword. A giant snake is slithering all over Alana and Cromwell wants to fight Talon, and he decides to make it a fair fight by shooting the extra tri-blade into a stone, and their swords strike and there's sparks. That's how you know they're strong. However, Talon never has luck with his swords. Cromwell presses the advantage, but Talon uses his gauntlet of steel. Then he tells Cromwell who he is, and justice is served. He rescues Alana from the giant snake, and we get a final scare from Xusia, and Talon deals with that too. It's daytime now, and everyone's just chilling. They're a little tired from the battle, and Talon's on the balcony, drops the crown down to Mikah. Everyone cheers, and then he takes Alana and is going to claim his reward. The next day, Talon embarks on a new mission to Maladon to save another kingdom. The credits tell us that Talon's next adventure is coming true, the tales of an ancient empire. It only took 28 years later. Richard Moll played Xusia in the beginning, but only voiced the character due to a bad reaction to the contact lenses. This movie also had some tragedy on the set, as Jack Tyree, one of the stuntmen, jumped off the cliff trying to hit the airbag, but missed it. Richard Lynch was his usual solid self. The guy's done 164 movies and TV credits. That's a legend.
Who are you? Talon, son of Richard.
It had a budget of $4 million and it made $39 million at the box office in 1982. That's huge. Surprising it didn't get its sequel right away. And when it did get its sequel, it only had $1 million budget, and it was a painful piece of shit to watch. It had very little to do with the original. It's an adventurous movie like Crawl, but obviously had its budget constraints, but that didn't hurt the viewing experience. It claims to be on Blu-ray when you Google it, but I've never seen anything beyond DVD.
And all that goes with it.
It also has solid composed music by David Whittaker, so if you like your sword fantasy movies, I totally recommend you check this out because it's one of my faves. I mean, it's cheesy a little bit, but it's still a lot of fun to watch. Well, as always, thanks for watching.
So the debt's been paid, eh, General?
Aye.
Now to Maladon, to save Lambocius' kingdom.